So
we want to know. I think let's first address the fact that this is a sensitive, vulnerable subject, and Hanisah's feeling a little bit nervous.
no, I'm fine. No, I'm not fine. It's hard. This is a really hard topic to get into.
Okay.
You don't think so? Not for you?
I don't feel nervous the way that you feel.
How do you feel about this topic?
I feel like I'm just talking about my life, various aspects of my life. I mean, obviously, I have a lot to say about it.
But like, in a way of kind of like, yeah, calling the elephant out in the room, kind of, how do we feel about the fact that we're just going to be like, hey, by the way, we are fat? Like, how do you feel about like opening that up to the people? It's not like they can't see, they're not fucking blind or something. And if you are, that's fine too. You can just listen in. But whoa.
Okay, yeah. Woo.
Shit those nerves off.
Let's breathe. It's okay. I think for me, like, I'm really at a point in my life, well, yeah, like right now, I've gained a lot of weight over the years and I'm fat. And that's the reality. Doesn't mean I like myself any less. And
I mean, I don't think I hate
I can talk about it.
I don't hate myself any less, right? But I know that there's a preconceived notion about it. And that's where I kind of
which we'll get into.
All right.
You know? So let's start with the main question. Can a fat girl live?
I'll say it again. Can a fat girl live?
Okay, we're asking it in different ways. She was a little bit more aggressive and she was mad.
Can a fat girl live? Honestly, do you believe in this society, can a fat girl live?
So,
because I got words.
The thing is, right, like I grew up with a lot of, anti-fatness, but it's not something I experience so much now, just because I'm very intentional about who I surround myself with, and like people know not to bring that energy towards me. And if they don't know, they find out. Right?
How? But how do you address it? Are you angry about it? Or are you like, you know what? Boundaries.
Like as an example, this was actually a few years ago, when my ring's banging. Sorry.
That's okay.
But like this one time, I was meeting up with a friend at somewhere in Times Square. And then this friend had another friend at the table. And the friend was someone that I'd known for some years. And I immediately sit down. And his first sentence to me, not even a greeting, his first sentence was like, when bila takan kurusan ni.
Oh. I'm shaking. I'm shaking in my boots. Continue.
And so I just said, like, do you not have anything else more interesting to talk about? Is there like nothing else going on in there? But
what did he respond? How can you respond?
Well, he was embarrassed after that because who greets people like that, right?
I feel like if I say that, they're like, "Hey, sensitive, Jay," and I hate that.
Yeah, he might have said something like that, but it doesn't matter. Like the question is, do you think that is, an appropriate way to start a conversation with somebody? It's not. Right?
I don't.
Yeah.
Some people don't agree.
But going back to, like, can a fat girl live? I think that there is still a lot of fat phobia, even among people who are like, woo, Lizzo, yay, right? But it's like...
Oh my gosh. That Lizzo situation, though.
Oh, that's a whole separate...
No. The situation where as soon as... Because it was a whole like, oh, we love Lizzo. And then there was one thing and the fat phobia came. Like, nothing about how she actually ruined these people's lives or whatever the allegedly, whatever the thing was. Nobody even talked about the actual situation. They were just like, see, fat girls, can't trust them. I'm like, I was like shaking. I was like, be so for real.
See, that's interesting because like I heard about there were some people that used it as an opportunity for their fat phobia to come out. But I'm just not on that side of social media. Like, alhamdulillah, the algorithm is good to me. I am divinely protected. Alhamdulillah. So
God, get me on that.
So, but I'm aware that, like so many times, like I will see it on my TikTok feed, for example, where, again, a fat person is just there existing. And then somebody will be coming to their space going like, oh, but, like you're glorifying obesity and, you're not healthy and, all those things. And so
I'm not doing this because I'm being a hater. I'm literally genuinely concerned. You don't know me. How can you be concerned about someone you don't know? I don't know how I'm going to kind of level out my anger this whole episode. I'm not
Be
sure.
prepared that, this might be a very emotional episode.
It is. And if I cry, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
We move on. Okay. Where were we?
That's okay. I mean, again, I'm an advocate for crying.
On camera?
I'm an advocate for crying wherever.
True. Okay.
I'm a fan of crying.
Where were we? Can a fat girl live?
So I think it's that, right? It's just like, I think when people look at a fat person and they're not actively hating their body, it just becomes
such an issue.
Yeah. And that's what the question is like, can we just live? Like whatever's going on with our fat bodies is just, not any of your business. And it's like they're mad. They're just mad. They want to see us unhappy. And, there's so many examples of it. But let's
because my stance on where it is more kind of like, I think I used to be more insecure and then I would have random bursts of confidence. Whereas now I kind of like did the work and I'm more confident and like satisfied with who I am as a person, but then I have random bursts of insecurity.
The thing is, the insecurities happens with everyone, even people who aren't fat.
Yeah, but
right?
it goes
even when I was thin, I was still insecure about my body.
But it goes so deep, right? Because when you're insecure about something and someone doubles down and goes, yeah, you're right. It's kind of like, that's different. Because when you're like, oh, I feel like not that good. And they're like, no, you're great. But if you're like, oh, I feel so fat. And that, people think that that's a bad thing. And they're like, yeah, like, what are we going to do about it? It's like, I can't win. I can't even have a moment of kind of like insecurity without someone being like, yeah, it's a problem that we have to solve. And it's not just like a random burst of insecurity. It's just like a genuine problem. Let's talk about it. And I'm like, what? It's like, you know how it feels like, which someone's like, oh, I feel so ugly. And they're like, yeah, maybe Botox. It's like,
but why do you have people like that in your life?
It's hard not to. We live in a society that's very communal. So much, we're always going to meet someone that we don't completely know, or like we're not in their circle, but we're always going to bump into them. And those people are always going to exist. And I don't know how to kind of...
But like, why are those the people that you're expressing your insecurity to?
Oh, that's true. I don't know. It just comes when it comes, right? And then as a fellow Gen Zer, anything that comes into my head, I'm just like, burst, blah, 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 blah,
And this is not to victim blame, of course. Like, you have a right to express your insecurity.
Yo, that did feel like an attack.
I didn't mean that. But I think that, like, because fat phobia is so rampant, you also need to know where is a safe space for you, right? And, you've got to be a little bit careful about that if you don't want to feel those things. Because, we can't control how other people are going to react to us. Right? So we can only control what we do. I mean, hopefully with this conversation, we can start to change people's thinking around it.
But also, right, you grew up in a very different, like as much as you're completely Asian, 100%, I love that. But like, you also you went to school in the UK and then you did the whole like, living in the UK.
What's that have to do with anything? I grew up in the 90s when heroin chic.
Yeah, but I live in Asia, where heroin chic is now. Heroin chic was then, heroin chic
No, but I
now.
think this is, what, a big difference is, like, nowadays, there's at least a body positivity movement.
That's true.
In the 90s, I was out there, and it was like, it was an era where women they were called lollipop heads. Like, that was the aspirational thing, where your head looked too big for your body because your body was so skinny.
Ew.
Yeah. And
I'm not you. Whoever has a lollipop head, that's fine. Damn, the PC right now is nowhere. It doesn't exist. The PC.
I mean, ill to that being like an aspiration.
Yeah, that's
because,
true.
Again,
ideal.
You're limiting what women
should look
like, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you do that, anytime you do that, that's an ill.
Okay, but what do you think about Asian culture and its thinness? Because it's very prevalent even now.
So, yeah, I mean, I still grew up in that. Like, even if I was in London, like, a lot in my childhood, but I also grew up here. I also grew up in KL. And also my family members are all...
Yeah, baby, let's bring them up. Let's bring them up in this topic a lot. Because they're kind of like the starting point.
Oh, absolutely.
When do you think was the first time you realized that you were fat and that it's a problem?
Well, I was like fat from when I was born.
Yeah, me too.
You
But
know?
but when did you realize it? Like,
I know. Wait, I'm telling a story, babe.
all right. Sorry.
I was a big baby, and I was even bigger than the boys. And the thing is, like, I just remember from a young age, even that as a toddler, I was laughed at because I was like bigger than the boys, for example, you know. And but yeah, I think definitely like in the very, very early years, I was aware that I was not the ideal size for a cute little girl.
Yeah.
And I was put on diets from quite a young age.
How old? How old is the first one you kind of like remembered?
7? 8?
SHIT.
Yeah.
I can't say it, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. What was the diet? Like, kind of like, oh, let's just like not eat that much.
I guess, I mean, again, I can't even remember things that happened like yesterday.
Because I remember.
I'm trying to remember, like, it was a lot of, like, telling me to exercise, and, you know, like, biasalah, like, control makan. Again, there are so many fad diets, especially around that time. It was like all the Jane Fonda exercises and all the, apa saja, like, through the 90s, there was like Slim Fast, which was a shake that you drink twice a day. So you only eat like a proper meal once a day. Once we were on some sort of like severe cabbage soup diet as well. My mom had, I think she had the whole family on it. Cabbage soup diet. And then there was another one that was like a 3-day intensive one, which we had to eat a lot of beetroot. But no, there have been so many like over the years.
Just say that.
Different like fad diets. The thing is, it's, you know, like it was just that was what the time was like.
Because I remember mine. Because, you know, like when there's a certain era, like there's a certain time when you grow up and you're like, okay, I'm starting to get exposed to social media. Well, at that point, it's like just TV, right? TV, at least for me as well, was like computers, that like dial-up ones and everything. And then, you know, like Miss Christina Aguilera, she was in her little croppy crops.
Okay.
And me, my little 40 kg 6-year-old was just like, crop tops. Yeah. That's the one. That's the thing. That's the one. That's where we're going. And I was like, Mom, we're going to do crop tops. And my mom, bless her heart, she was very kind of like you as a child, whatever you want, you get, because you are like, you know, macam, she was not going to be the first one to kind of ruin that for me.
I mean, it's cute.
Yeah. But then, right, that means she bought me a crop top, and I was kind of the crop top that like was supposed to be around my belly button that like went up to here because I'm a 6-year-old 40 kg baby at this point. And then like pants, and I was walking around the mall, mind you, with like my whole midriff open and just being like, all you people look at me like I'm a little girl. Do you ever think it'd be okay? And then like it was very big on belly dancing, so I was like, wow. Can you imagine? A little 6-year-old Hanisah in her little crop top belly dancing, and everybody just kind of like, I was like, I don't understand, where are the claps? Like, you know, when you end that pose and like the claps were just, it was just silent.
Do you have like photos, videos of this?
Oh, I do. If anybody was blessed enough to be able to follow me, because I'm private, I have a single video where it's supposed to, like, it's me and I think my cousin has the same shirt, and I'm like one size up or something, and she's drowning in the shirt, and it's a crop top for me. Yeah. And then I made a song, and so I was just like, Hanisah, crop top moment. Like, I'm Britney Spears right now. Okay. And so I have a video of me singing and dancing like that. Like Britney Spears, like Christina Aguilera.
I mean, it's very convincing.
It was. Oh, it was.
But you're saying that was the moment that you realized that you were...
When nobody clapped was the moment I realized that, oh, is this an issue?
But are you sure that they weren't clapping for that reason?
Yeah, definitely.
How'd you know?
Because it came with, Ya Allah, nes perut muato.
Oh. Okay. Because I mean, I feel like Britney Spears' dance is a bit seductive. In the way you were jiggling there, I was like, damn.
No, it's because I had more to jiggle than Britney Spears, and that was the issue.
But it's true though. Like it is. I mean, I remember thinking that it's like when a woman who's like very thin is not wearing much, right? It doesn't look as like, like
overtly
what's
sexual.
the word? Yeah, just because there's not as much like flesh going around.
Yeah, because did you do those things where when you were a kid, like all the cousins would perform?
No.
Really? In front of the whole family? Was that just a me thing? Come on, production team. All right, one of them. Anybody else?
I performed by myself.
You didn't have them where like, oh, all the cousins are forced to perform?
But they weren't into it. I was the only one.
Really? Because for me, like my aunts kind of forced us to do it. And we were all three of us were doing it. We were doing Sway by Pussycat Dolls. Yeah.
The age gap. I'm feeling that. Like for me, and my video was me doing Sinaran, like Sheila Majid. Like when it first came out.
So
on a video camera that was like massive. Yeah.
But yeah, I did that, and I remember, I'm not even kidding you, this is one of the most, until today, sorry, did I just blow my mic? Until today, that is one of the most kind of like defining moments of my life, because we practiced every day for 3 weeks, I think. And then, I'm not gonna lie, oh shit, I don't know if my cousin is watching this, but I'm not gonna lie, I was the best one there. Let's just talk about it. I was the best one there. I was swaying, She was swaying like a real performer. And as soon as it was done, everybody was clapping. And my uncle, the first thing he said was just like, oh my God, the jiggles. And I kid you not, in front of my whole extended family.
Yeah.
And while everybody was clapping and everybody got so quiet. And me, a 9-year-old, I just stood there while the two girls were just like, it was 3 of us, 3 girls. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna cry. That's so gross. No. And I ran up and like, I was inconsolable. That was the first ever real like, that was so funny up till now, right? Like, wasn't it such a funny story until I started crying?
It's okay.
But I remember, and then like, that was the first time I've ever been embarrassed too. And like, that was just like.
Yeah.
And that's why this is a sensitive topic, because
damn. But how did your like, because you're saying that your mom never made you feel
no, my mom
your body was a problem.
Yeah, but Masham, you always think that it's like, oh, you have the good core, but then the outside people are they're loud.
So, yeah. I mean, like I would get laughed at by by family members. I know there was one that really upset me as a little girl. I had an uncle who would always call me Sharif.
Uncle?
I had an uncle who would always call me Sharif Doll.
What is that?
Like he is the villain in all the Piramli films. Sharif Doll. Y'all know this, so you're too young.
I'm too young, but that's so mean.
But he was a little bit chubs, and I feel like, is that why you're calling me that? Like, I don't even know why they would always call me Sharif Dore, but it's just as a little girl. You don't want to be called like the male villain of Piramli film. You know what I mean? So there was that. But just in general, I think it was just reinforcement constantly from everywhere. Anyone I met, right? Like that I was, and also it didn't help my older sister was thin.
Ooh, I didn't have that. That must have been hell on earth.
So
having something to compare to.
So so she was thin and just so classically beautiful. And so I was like,
you.
We're right. It's all right. I mean, it's one of those things where it's all right. It helped me develop a personality.
Yeah, you're so much funnier than everybody I know.
So, but I think it is an Asian. I mean, I don't even think it's an Asian culture thing. Like, yes, Asians are very like loud about it, and they'll tell you to your face, like, makilampo ne banar. I had someone once. This was a grand uncle. They should come up and just look at me. He like lampo kawan ni. And he just walked off. I'm like,
you know what? That I don't think that's a single situation. I think every fat person has ever has had like an old, yung macam like one step in the grave kind of man go up to you and just be like, "You're fat." It's like, okay, you're old and ugly.
But when I say it, if I say it back, I'm the bad. I'm the bad guy, right? But like, it was just also, I think for me, my weight did fluctuate. Like throughout my teen years and my 20s because of all the dieting, yo-yo dieting. Like I would be, kurus. I called it Janet Jackson syndrome. Sekejap kurus, sekejap lampo, And so I felt like my weight was being policed a lot of the time too, right? Like I had someone once ask me, again, a random family member at a wedding, and then she just like, tap in.
Shut up.
Hey, Kak.
I already know where it's going and I'm hurt for you.
Kakak, are you gaining? Like literally as I'm standing here talking to you, I'm expanding. You know what I mean? Like, what's the are you gaining? Like, you mean right now?
As you're breathing. 5 kilo.
Like, please take away 3 kilos. But ultimately, like, I don't think it's an Asian thing because, again, the obsession with being kurus it's global and it's rooted in white supremacy. But you know what?
Wait.
It is.
Are we going to talk about that?
We don't have to go. We have a lot to talk about.
Oh, okay.
But it is rooted in that, right?
But what
I feel like I've already been like talking about white people a fair bit.
Have we? I feel like we haven't talked about it.
Oh no, just in my own personal. I'm like, you know what? Let's give it a break.
But what's your okay, like I don't know if this is a thing, but nowadays there's a lot of like negative terms are you take the negative terms and then you claim it as your own kind of thing. What's your version in terms of like gamuk? Is it like fat? Is it plus size? Is it curvy? Like what's your like the one that you're like, I'm claiming it? That's what I see myself and that's what I claim myself mainly.
I mean, I do say I'm a fatty. Like I use the word fat. Yeah.
Because like I'm a loser and I'm still going like, oh, I'm plus size. I'm just plus size.
I also use plus size. I use big girl a lot as well because I'm also tall.
I feel like plus size is kind of like the nice version of being like, you want to say that you're fat.
I don't say curvy just because like...
It's a lie for me. I'm like, what curve, babe? A ball?
But that is a
what shape, love?
Hey, a ball is round is a shape. No. But like, I think because the term curvy has now been like appropriated by small plus size girls.
Mid-sized girls.
I don't want to say appropriated, but like curvy refers to a very specific type of plus size where you are fat in the right places.
Yeah.
Right? That's curvy. And so,
I don't know how that works, honestly, the science. Let's talk about that. I don't know if there's a comment section wherever we're posting this, but like, how do those girls look big but have flat stomachs? Like, are you guys lying? Or, because I'm like, I don't get it. I'm like, no, kamu ada stomach.
Kali dorang pakai like, I don't know, those
no, because like they do their bikini things, Jonathan. Like,
that's
bikini.
True, that's true, yeah.
So I'm like, can you tell me if you guys are like lying and it's not real? Because I want to know. I really do want to know.
When you are not that plus size, like, I mean, when you are like at that curvy level, because I've been at that weight as well, where like I'm bigger,
it's a real
but
thing.
my parut is not like out there, So it is possible to have a flat-ish stomach, even though you're still like bigger overall.
Yeah, because that was a thought in my head. I was just like, is everybody lying to me? Are you guys gaslighting me? I'm like, is that real?
No, because it's at that level, like, where, what do you call it? Kalau macam
right
boxing, ada, like featherweight, middle, kan itu macam
middle class.
At that class, it's like boleh masih tu. Pas masih, like your stomach can still be flat. But then there's a point after where I think the one that I really don't like is like morbidly obese. I fucking hate that one because it's like you make me sound like I'm gonna die any minute. Like,
no, but also like morbid is like fucking off. You're literally telling apa kan erti morbid ani? It's just like awful, isn't it? Like it makes me want to vomit.
Morbid ini artinya mati, right? That's what it means. And that's the stuff where they tie it back to to your health, which I don't like that, because there are just so many fat people who are
completely healthy.
Yeah, So I just I don't like that term. Yeah.
So you do claim you're like fat. I'm starting now.
Fat, gamuk, gedempol.
Gedempol is so cute. Oh my god, gedempol. Gila gedempol lah.
That's cute. Wait, apa lagi? What are the other terms?
I love gedempol.
We're gonna unpack it together.
At any point someone was
like what is the impact on this obsession with thinness and like diet culture? Because for me, right, like the impact on it is that it's made me fatter. That is legit the impact of diet culture on me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and just all this pressure to be thin. So, when I look back, right, in my head, and I think of when I was like 11 and 12, right, I always thought I was like massive. Like, because the way I was made to feel so massive by like just everybody, and only like, I think it was a few years ago, I came across an old photo of myself, and I had my little sister in my lap. I was wearing my slippery uniform.
Okay,
and I was like,
girl, weird flex.
Girl. Tapi kan, I was like, kurus juta. Cuma tu my reaction. I was shocked. I was like, hey. I swear in my head, I was like, fatty McFatter.
No, seriously. In high school, macam, if I see my photos in high school, I remember the way people looked at me was like, oh, yo, she's gonna die any minute. Like, she's like over the limit. I was skinny legend punya benernya tu.
Aku size 12 wah. When I was thinking at that time, size like 12.
Is that still straight size?
Yes. Tapi dulu, in the 90s, you want to be a size 0, right?
Okay. Can we talk about the fact that a size 0 exists? 0 ni kosong wayo. Air kosong.
Okay, that was not
I did not know. I thought I finished it. Okay, I'm so sorry. I thought I'd be sore.
Thanks for the dramatic.
That would have been funny though. Do we want to do that again? Okay, let's keep it.
Let's keep it.
Okay.
So
where did we see this?
Yeah, I mean, that was the aspirational size.
But like, let's talk about it. How does 0 exist? How do you measure 0? 0 is kosong. 0 is non-existent. 0 is nada.
Like, it's a category, right? It's not like, when you're size 15, you're not size like 16 waist, right? It's a category. Yeah, so there's a category for 0, which is like the, heroin chic, the thinnest you could ever be kind of category.
It just doesn't make sense to me. 0 doesn't, or like, why wouldn't you start with a size 1? Like, that's an actual value. 0 is not a value.
Again, it's just one of those things.
But yeah, like, so
going back to how I absolutely like gain weight as a result of all of that, right? Because it just creates such a, like, there's so much shame that you carry with a fat body, right? And just like, and your comfort becomes the food, it's like the cause for all of your
But it's the only one that's not calling you fat.
And the thing is, it's comforting. For me, like, it came out of, so I have a lot of trauma as well that's like related to my body issues, right? And so eating really became my coping mechanism. And eating is a coping mechanism for a lot of people. And the thing is, what's so unfortunate, like, is because the result of eating is fatness, at pulang is like, people hate it so, like, you know what I mean? It's not glorified because you end up looking fat. But it's a better coping mechanism than smoking, than, drugs,
but
right?
But you lose weight. Gila je tu Gila all the bad things is the one that makes you lose weight.
Dulu kurus pulang warna. Actually, no, lampau. I mean, again, ups and downs. Jem Jackson syndrome. Sorry, Janet. I love you, Janet.
Yeah, I was like, how PC can that be?
I mean, she was like, for me, she was someone through like my life. I remember during that era, just being aware of like, oh wow, she she's really good at being able to get her body back to what it looked like, even though she'd gained lots of weight. Like that was my thinking around
That must have
it.
been so much worse too, because you can then you believe like, oh, I
Yeah,
can do that
yeah.
kind of like 0 to 100 thing.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, when your body gains weight to a certain like level, or anytime your body gains weight, it's like a new normal that's set for your body, and your body then wants to stay at that weight. Like if your body starts losing weight, your body will start to feel like, because your body's trying to keep you safe, like for survival, right? So every time that you gain weight, your body wants to stay there. See, and that's where it's so hard. It gets really hard to lose weight as you get older, and the more that you gain weight, it just gets harder to lose the weight. And sure, people are just like, oh, you're just not committed enough, You just have to, you know what I hate? I hate the people who are just like, ugh, just, eat less calories than going out, like as if, especially for women's bodies, it is not that straightforward, right? And especially
It's your
as women
hormones
get
and everything,
older.
your stamp.
Yeah. And so I feel like diet culture absolutely is to blame for the way that, all the yo-yo dieting and the way my weight has fluctuated up and down over the years. And I'm sorry, but I'm just at a point where I don't want to. I've dieted so much of my life already, and yeah, sure, it's kurus kajap. And then next thing you know, like it comes back in some other form, right? And it's like, and it's just exhausting to hate your body constantly.
I think this is going to be a really toxic question, but as someone who's never been skinny in her life, how did it feel being skinny? Like, you and I, we can share the fact that we're fat.
Yeah.
So how did that feel? What was the difference, like, when you're skinny and when you're fat?
Oh God, when you're skinny, like...
Do people just, like, kiss your feet?
Yeah, honestly.
No.
Because all the people who are just like, oh, you would be so pretty if you were thin. Then I'm like, all right, I'm thin now, And so it is. You get a lot of people who praise you. You get a lot of people who all of a sudden make you feel like you're worthy, right? The interesting thing is, right, that even though, like, in the moments that I was thin, was I at peace with my body though? That's the big question. Because you think like, oh, once you're thin, all your problems will go away. Or your relationship with your body is all of a sudden going to be healthier. You think you're going to love your body and it's going to... No. Even when I remember like one of the times where I was thin was when I was at university. And I was like going to the gym regularly, and I was like eating less than 800 calories a day,
Holy, that's like a toddler's.
Yeah, I would eat a banana in the morning. I would eat a fruit salad.
That's not even
lunch,
girl dinner.
I would eat like less than 400 calories for dinner. So that's even way less than 800. And I would be working out for like an hour and a half in the morning. But that's what I mean. And
where did you get the energy to live?
I was 20.
Girl, I'm 20. I can't. If I haven't eaten breakfast, I think I start like dying a little. Like I think my heart just goes like, I just like.
Honestly, I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how.
I think it's motivation from all the kind of like outside.
I think it helped that I had a friend that you met Zoe. So like we used to go together to the gym, and so having the company was, that was like the thinnest I ever got to. Like I'm 5'8", and I went down to like 60 kilos.
Oh, that's like, what do you call it? Like ideal weight for our height or something like that. Yeah,
and I think the thing that I thought was funny was like, I didn't even realize I was thin. Like it took my friends taking me shopping and then buying like a smaller size for me to be like, oh my God, I can fit into it. Because I couldn't see it in the mirror that I was thin.
Body dysmorphia, right?
Maybe to an extent. Yeah. And then...
If you can't see what your body actually looks like until you need like sizing to show you.
I guess so. And the whole time after that one, I was still constantly fretting about, like I got a boyfriend. Once I was thin, I was like, oh, and I felt confident to like actually start dating at that point. But it feels great to be able to wear what you want, that
straight
part
size
is fun.
clothing.
Yeah. To be able
Because
to
the
shop so
options are
easily.
insane.
Yeah, and then just to be able to put clothes on and be like, oh, this looks cute, instead of just like, you're so used to like, pterodactyl, like, when you're fat, you look for clothes that are going to hide that you're fat, right?
Like,
Clothes
honestly,
that's gonna make me look thinner, clothes that make me look smaller. But when you're thin, you're just, I'll wear whatever.
I don't know how to figure that out, because I think when I was 19 and 20, I had a moment where I realized, like, hey, you know what? I don't care. I want to dress how I see macam kalau like normal like whatever
Right.
normal sized people look like, and then I would dress like it, and I would see myself as myself, and I'm like, yeah, I like it. But now I lost it. I lost the ability to kind of like look good without wanting to hide my existence. And macam, I don't know how to get it back. I don't know how to macam see myself in the mirror and just be like, yeah, because I like this outfit, I also look good in it. I don't know how to bring that back. Any tips? Honestly, dying here, babes.
It's really hard. I think
I'm
like
literally wearing a sweater. I don't.
so one thing that that I actually learned this like recently because I was doing a course on like decolonization. So again, going back to like white supremacy ideals and how it shapes and then how it alienates you from yourself. So what the colonizer does to our mindset, right, is it creates an ideal that we are always going to want to aspire to. And it's an ideal based on what they have, right? All the power, but also just like their physicalities, the way they look at, white women are upheld as like the what's the word, the standard for beauty, right? For so long, for so many years.
Sharp nose, big guys.
Yeah, in so many ways. I mean, recently there was a whole thing with the curve, but you see it, they dropped it. They're like, oh, it's too accessible now for BBLs, and it's there's a lot of brown and black women who are curvy. Like we can't have that. So now we're going back to skinny. Right?
We can see that with the Victoria's Secret show, right? Do you know what happened?
No.
Because they got canceled because the owner was like,
no plus size.
Yeah, no plus size. Like, you all can F off. Like, no plus size ever in my life. And then they got dropped so hard, and to the point that Rihanna's Rihanna's show became so popular and exceeded it that they were. And then the next year they were like, actually, plus size people kind of slay. Maybe
But
we can get the.
They had Palomija in it, right? She's plus size.
But now they're bringing back supermodels and then kind of like representation.
Yeah. Like one big girl in there. Yeah.
One minority. Chato. It really feels like that again.
So
nothing like going backwards.
So going back to what I was saying, right? So what colonization does, right? It impacts like the way that you see yourself. So when you are looking at yourself in the mirror, or just looking at yourself in general, with what you have in life, right? You're not looking at yourself as is. You're looking at yourself through the lens of like, what do I not have? So what part of me does not look like the ideal? So you're never looking at yourself in the mirror as yourself. You're only seeing what you're not. Like you're only seeing, what you're missing from that idealized picture. So we have to kind of retrain our minds to be able to really just see ourselves as we are.
I think, when was it? I think it was when I met you, when I was kind of like, yeah, but how do you run from it, Tiwin? How do you run? Like, literally, especially like at that point, we were really getting into social media, Twitter, Instagram. Now it's like super oversaturated. But then that was like end all be all. Everybody wanted to be on Twitter. Everybody wanted to be on Instagram and all that. And I was just like, how do you run from it? You can't run from like macam skinny people and everybody just being like, skinny, amazing, skinny, hot, skinny, beautiful. And you were kind of like, I fixed my algorithm. That was literally, I'm not even kidding you, the first time I heard the word algorithm. I am only a Brunei and Malay girl. So when I heard you say that, I'm like, algorithm? And you were like, yeah, I chose to follow people who are like, who look like me and who have my sense of aura and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh. And then I did that and I was like, yo, that makes such a difference. It really retrains your brain when you're constantly seeing that, and kind of your brain automatically kind of checks that as normal. it's so much easier to see, and it's more tolerable to see yourself in the mirror. Is that not the saddest thing, the saddest sentence I've ever said in my entire life? I can't anymore. You need to go.
Well, no, okay. Thank you for sharing. Okay, you want to?
Okay,
you want tissue, babe?
I'm good.
But yeah, you're right. Like, it is about trying to change your mindset is a multi-pronged effort. You can't just expect you to learn the lesson one day and then you're going to get it, right? It has to be reinforced. And so that's why for me, like, yeah, I make sure I'm not on the wrong side of TikTok.
Is that the truth?
Because wait, let me just see where we are. Where are we?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll bring in.
Oh yeah, the impact. We're still talking about the impact of it, right? Like, the whole shaming thing doesn't work anyway, right? Like, it really doesn't. And I mean, it might work like to an extent.
Honestly, though, like, if it worked, don't you think I would be skinny right now with all the stories that I've told you about how much I've been shamed?
All the fat people would be skinny. Skinny.
Oh my God, I would be the heroin chic more than straight-sized people with the way I've been shamed. If fat shaming was a thing, did I just say skinny shaming like I'm a skinny person?
So, I hear you. Now I'm like, what was I gonna say, Hanisah?
Fat shaming doesn't work.
It's not just, what people are overlooking, because they focus so much on the fact that, like, being fat Santa. Actually, the shaming is unhealthy.
The truth.
And that's, I think, something, because mental health was not really a part of the conversation until recently. And so now people are understanding that the shaming that comes with, like, fat phobia is actually more harmful than them actually eating whatever it is that they want to eat, you know? Just saying.
But what do we feel about skinny shaming? While I accidentally slipped that word in there.
I mean,
what do we think about when people fat shame and they're just like, when people fat shame and they go, skinny people get shamed too. What do you think about that? What do we think? Like, it's the same.
Say what you
Fat shaming and skinny shaming are the same.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, skinny people can be shamed.
Yeah.
But it's not the same thing. How is it the same thing?
How is it the same? Like, they're just like, we get shamed for being too.
The difference is, right, skinny people will have, like, random people comment saying things like, which is not nice, right? Like, I get it. However, there is not on an institutional level,
inherent,
right? Like, a bias against skinny people, right? It's just like offhand comments here and there. Whereas, there are people that don't get hired because they're fat. They don't get, or they're discriminated against for being fat.
It's just like,
it's not the same thing.
It isn't.
Like, we feel you, it's not nice, but it's not the same thing.
That's true.
So thanks for bringing that up.
I had to. Because I get that all the time and I never know what to say. And
now you do.
Now I do. And now you all do too.
Yes, let's hope. Yeah.
Ooh, can a fat girl love? Dating. I already know that means
fat.
Can a fat girl love means dating. What's your experience dating as a fat girl?
Here's the thing.
Since this episode is called Gamuk Girl, do we want to change it to dating as a gamuk girl?
No, because we're talking about all sorts of things about being gamuk.
All right.
Why are you thinking about this? Okay. So dating-wise, see, the thing is, right, I've only dated hotties in my life. I'm not kidding. Like, gorgeous.
No, but like
hot.
Objectively or like
Objectively.
From you? Oh.
No.
Objectively hot.
Objectively.
Ooh, you better than me,
like,
babes.
Hot men. Yeah. But the thing is, what fat phobia, right, and like what it does to you is every time it happens, you're like, is he into me? Granted, like, okay lah, half of the ones I thought it was while I was kurus. But even while I'm lampo, I'm still getting hotties.
How?
I know.
I'm so great I'm not getting shit.
That's the thing. Even for me, I'm like, how? See, that's what it does, right? Like it just we're so not
that's
willing.
so true.
We're so not willing to. It's so hard to believe that there are people that could find our bodies attractive.
Okay.
Because it's so like we're so often told that it's not. So
It's especially hard for me because the start of my dating life, you know, cinta-cinta monyet nyerang was...
I've never heard of cinta monyet.
You've never heard of... Isn't cinta monyet a real thing, or am I just... It's a real thing, right? It's a word, right? Yeah. Sometimes...
I mean, I know it's a word, but I've just never heard the term.
Oh, whatever, man. My Malay is like, dulu in primary 6, dorang cakap, Hanisah ni bagus Melayu niya, tapi macam direct translation sikit. And I'm like, well, okay, you know what?
Did you do Malay O level?
Yeah.
What did you get?
It's like a B.
Oh, what B?
B3.
Me too.
So all those like people who are just like, you're so whitewashed, B3, talk about it. Right? B3, right? You too.
We talk about it, but
don't talk
not
about
in Malay.
Karena kami dah faham.
Faham juga dia.
Faham.
Cocok tu.
Jangan mucuk aku.
Okay, so cinta monyet, you were saying.
Yeah, so my first kind of like understanding that I had a crush on someone was like, what, year 8? I was a late bloomer. I don't want to talk about it. And I'm telling you, we were like best friends and we were so close. And I was like, there's no way. This is it. This is the man I'm going to marry. In hindsight, I know him now, thank God. But like, but at that point, I was just like, all right, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell my, I like him because, are you kidding me? Fireworks? These fireworks? Who can do it? Who can, what do you call it? In English?
I don't know. Who can deny?
Who can deny these fireworks? I see them. I know he sees them, and everybody else sees them. And I told him, I went on my little Skype. I went, hey, I like you. And he was like, I kid you not. His response is, oh. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but almost a full quote of, maybe if you were skinnier, maybe if you lost a few kilos. He didn't even say thank you. He just said, "Aw, you stupid girl, you're fat." Oh, that was literally my first dating experience.
Oh, no.
And you know what was worse? I went, yeah.
Oh no.
I was like, it's all right. I'll get on it. Oh my God, I deserve an award. I deserve $1 million for going through that.
You do. You do. $1 million all around.
And so that in itself kind of, after hearing that story, you can kind of like set yourself up on how my dating life went after that.
Oh, that was wait, how old were you?
I was the most impressionable age, year 7, year 8.
What is that?
13, 12, 13.
Oh, I'm just trying to think.
That was rough, guys.
My first experience. I mean, my first crush, I remember, like, real person crush was when I was 8. But I wasn't going to tell him. You're my boyfriend at 8 years old. Like,
Also, but like at 8, nobody should be like, fat. You know, like, it's kind of...
Oh, they probably would have been, yeah.
I guess, like, as kids, do you think they register?
Kids, they're so harsh. They're the ones that are just like, ooh, you're so fat. Or like, I don't want you on the team because you're fat.
Yeah,
right?
but macam, dulu like, fat atu macam, I could like roll it off my back. But when you're in that 13, 14, when you're kind of like caring about how you look and stuff like that, and someone being like, you know what? Yeah, I see the fireworks, but lose a few pounds. And you're kind of like, that's fact. That is the objective solution.
The thing is, the people that were saying things like that to me, right? Like, I wasn't even into them, but they would be saying like, Tiwin, kalau you kurus, I'd go out with you.
Oi.
Be my girlfriend. No.
But if I had a nickel, I don't even know what a nickel is, 20 Bruneian sen for every single time a man has said that to me, I'd be a millionaire. I want to do this podcast.
Really?
I want to be doing that podcast.
You would be a millionaire.
I'm telling you, I would be a millionaire.
That's a lot, dude. 20 cents.
I had a friend. No. Okay, maybe exaggeration. Oh, sorry. I'm not a maths major. Any maths major.
Okay, but I'm just like, that's a lot.
No, because Like,
That means more than 1 million people said that to you.
oh yeah, bukannya person, every person. It's every time. So there was, I had like.
So you've heard that more.
Every day.
Focusing on
I'm
the
not
wrong
even
thing.
kidding. I heard that. There was a point, there was this one guy, I was in year 7, up till, so he was my senior. So up till I was in year 9, every day he was my brother's friend. But yeah, like, so he would every day tell me, Hanisah, kalau ya kurus, girlfriendku. And you know what I would do? I would be like, oh, I'm so stupid. I could have been his girlfriend.
Oh, you love it, you love.
I would, see, that's what I'm telling you. And every day though, he would say it after school, di luar yayasan pagar atau.
That's annoying. I'm so sorry. But yeah, a lot of time it was just not even macam, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even say anything to you. I'm just sitting here minding. This is what it is, to be fat, yeah?
Yes, because they don't think it's a negative comment.
I'm literally sitting here minding my business, and they're like, hey, you know, lose some weight and I'll date you. I'm like, I don't want to date you. But anyway, did I tell you the line that I said to this one guy? I swear to God, it's one of my favorites. Because he was a big guy too, and he was saying like, you could have your girlfriend I lah. Right?
Okay, what is the accent?
Malaysian.
Oh, okay. No,
we were in London. Like, there were a lot of Malaysians.
Oh, okay.
So I said to him, I'm sorry, I don't date anyone with bigger boobs than I have. That shut him up. I think he still don't like me now.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
But also deserved.
Yeah. Like, excuse me. Again, I was
never smart enough. I kind of always, like, once I kind of figured it out, my thing was to kind of just be like, question it until they kind of, because nobody ever, at least at this age, at my age, nobody says straight up like, you're fat, but they kind of allude to it. And my kind of go-to is kind of like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Some innocently, sampai they have to kind of like push them into the corner of being like, yeah, I'm trying to say you're fat. And then they get really weird because, you know, we know that that's a polarizing word now. That's me, right? That's so embarrassing. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's my go-to. But yours, you win.
I mean, I wasn't like slick like that all the time. That's why I remember it up till now. I'm like, yeah, you did good there, girl. You did good. Yeah. But I think through my teenage years, I mean, I liked the boys that liked me, you know, and those were never the Asian boys, you know?
Because if we talk about that.
Actually, no. Do you know what? Actually, ada. But also, you know what? That's another conversation for another day. But actually, ada pulang jua. Yeah. But it's just, it was just so like ingrained, and it just makes it so hard to believe that they would actually like you. However, sometimes they actually are into the fatness, but in a fetishization way, like they really sexualize you. Yeah.
I've never had that. But I do want to hear that, your kind of experience with that.
Me pernah dulu I matched with someone, and he was like, oh, he worked for the UN, right? I was like, okay, this is somebody who's, you know, probably gonna be a little bit more cerebral, perhaps. And then he was
I cannot believe you thought a man was gonna be.
So we were like, I think I hadn't even met him at that point. We were just chatting. And then he was he just seemed like really fixated on my body. And then he was saying how he wanted to drum on my body like bongos or something like that. And I was like, that's not.
Wait.
It just felt too much.
How did the conversation get there?
I can't remember. I think he was talking about his book.
Where did he go? Did he make the movement?
No, this is on chat. We were just chatting. But he was saying he wanted to drum like on my body. And I was like, yeah, what is this? Right? And I tried
How does that work?
So I tried to have a conversation with him. I'm just like, hey, look, this is really feeling very like fetishy, right? And this is another thing as well. Sometimes these kind of men will make it seem like you're supposed to be so grateful to have their attention that you're supposed to just accept it no matter what. I'm like, sorry, wrong number. So he was quite pissy with me just because I wasn't flattered that he wanted to use my body as a drum.
Wait, can you imagine?
Yeah. I mean, could it what? Yes.
Would he eat that drum solo? Yeah, he would. Definitely.
The thing is, right, you can't be like, you can have a type and you can like bigger curls, right? That's not a problem. But the problem is when you like are only interested in that aspect about them. He didn't ask me how I was. He didn't ask me about my life dreams. He was just telling me about all the, different things that he wanted to do to my body. I'm like, And again, sometimes it's just like, it could just be sexual chat, right? Like where, not that I entertain those things, it's haram. But sometimes they want to get sexual in the chat. But this one, everything was like about like the body, just like the dimples on the thing. And this is like, hey, this is too much. Too much. So we're not
oh my God.
Yeah.
No, like I had a friend, I don't remember, but you cakap kan, you macam, her boyfriend is like really like muscular and she's very, macam, gedempol.
Gedempol?
Yeah, he's very gedempol.
We're reclaiming that.
Yeah, we are. I like it. That's like the first like fat synonym that I like. So what he would say is, she was like, I don't know if this is weird. Like, let me know. We're just having a girl chat. It's whatever. 4 girls talking about it. And she went, my boyfriend, you suka lift up my shirt. And I was like, ooh, raunchy time. And she goes, you suka? I'm not kidding you. And she goes, we don't even do anything. But he loves that. And I'm like, oh. And he goes, and he massages it. And he goes, I love it.
Okay.
So, is that
fetishization?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is he nice to her in other ways?
I think
What I mean? Like, as long as he's not treating her as a walking machine,
What is that called? Do we know
if their relationship just consists of just like, hey, it's time for my daily.
Can you?
Oh my God. I mean.
Because you're just like, honestly, we're really PG. We don't do anything. But, when we're like laying, cuddling, and I'm like, thank you. And then, but nah. Apa namanya? You cakap, apa namanya? It's just so I'm like, is that fetishizing? Where do we draw the line on like, can he be nice to you and also be obsessed with your tummy? And is that fetishizing?
I mean, as long as like you don't get the sense that he is dating you purely because of like your fatness.
But also, how would you feel about that? Is there any woman in the world or man, if that your significant other did that to you? Is there any positive connotations to that?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a very like loving thing, and
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Like for me, I love Nina.
My dad loves it too.
I love this. Like all of my besties know I'm like always down here, right? I don't think that's a fetishing thing. It's just like, oh, it's so yummy and soft.
Okay.
And so it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. But I think you'll know when they're doing it, just like you will get a sense. Because it's like your only value lies in... That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Have you ever had like guys that were into you, but they made a whole thing about it? They were just like, you're surprised I like you, right? Because you're fat?
Yeah. It's just like,
they think that they're so special because
like,
they are.
I am the elite version of a human because I can see past through skinniness, and I also find you attractive.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? I'm crazy like that. It's like he's telling me that he has $1 million in his bank account. that's the level of flex that he was like kind of,
Right, yeah.
yikes.
And it's not doing what you think it's doing, babes.
If anything,
You're
I'm offended.
basically, it's offensive. You're basically saying that it's so otherworldly to find this attractive. So, yeah.
So dating has been okay for you.
No.
That's what I say.
Dating
Those
is
are all
okay for
okay.
me.
You objectively got hotter men. You had a few people fetishize you. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, dating is rough. I don't know whether it's rough necessarily because I'm
Is it
fat.
only rough?
The thing is, it's rough, and like because of fat phobia, I internalize it, and I think that it's because I'm fat, right? It's like, oh, this person probably doesn't like, this person probably got put off with me because I'm fat. This person probably, because, but I'll go on like, I'll go online and I'll see like, other girls talking about their dating experience, and these are beautiful, beautiful girls. And they also get treated the same way. So I'm like, all right, maybe this isn't a fat thing. It's just a, like general trying to date in this era thing. Right?
So hard for me because I almost exclusively still feel like.
But no, of course, like the pool is smaller lah when you are a bigger girl, right?
Especially in an Asian country.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think about dating here.
Oh, can we bring up Izzy's podcast?
Yeah.
What did you talk about there? Is there anything you would like to elaborate from what you talked about there? What you talked about?
I mean, I talked about the dating stuff, which we've definitely expanded on. I think that there was something that I was saying about body positivity that I feel like I didn't get it right.
Ooh.
I think I said that.
I mean,
hopefully I get it right now. But like, I was saying something about how body positivity, people see it now as just like, oh, everybody, should feel positive about their body. It's become like a positivity for everyone. But it really was, started by marginalized, like, women of color. And it was supposed to create a safe space for like, women who are actively, who are fat, who are dark-skinned, who are disabled, right? All the, marginalized intersectionalities of things. And it's really about, trying to, how do we dismantle this hold that diet culture has over everyone? Like, how far off do you think we are from kind of like being able to normalize that someone can just look the way they look? I think we're a lot better now than before. Like, I would say, when I was younger, nada. I had nobody, no representation, no one to look up to just be like, oh, okay, like, it's okay to be fat. Nada. Whoever was fat and was publicly fat was also constantly dieting. Oprah, Roseanne Barr, Rosie O'Donnell, like those women, it was constantly being ostracized for their weight. And so we didn't have. So I think it's great that there's representation now. I think the representation is still kind of skewed because when you do see it, again, it's a curvy body, which is not representative of fatness, right? Like it's a very specific type of
I feel
fatness.
like now that we have Lizzo, they've really like tried to cap kind of like how much they are willing to kind of accept plus size bodies. They're just like, kami sudah ada Lizzo. That ato kami suka jua. We're not. It's very like I'm not homophobic. I have a gay friend. It's very like
oh, I love Lizzo.
Yeah.
There's so many girls who are just like, oh, I love Lizzo. Like, but they love her body positivity, all that kind of stuff. Tapi it's like,
how many times have you ever heard you kind of look like Lizzo?
Oh, I've never heard that.
Really?
That's crazy.
I, a fair-skinned Asian woman, have heard it twice.
Is it?
The gene pool, babe.
They said,
kami macam Pacific Ocean sama.
They said you remind me of Lizzo or like you look like Lizzo?
I think they just go like, of course they say like you remind me of Lizzo, but I'm like, you'll be so for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm fat in it. Like, what am I going to say?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think growing up, so a lot of time when people were trying to find who I look like, right? In the 90s, they were just like, oh, you look like Monica Lewinsky. I was like,
and you look like Monica.
I was a 14-year-old. And people telling me I look like Monica Lewinsky.
Okay. Do they not know?
I'm just distracted. I was looking at what? Sorry, going back to this. So Monica Lewinsky was chubs. back in the day. And you know what? She had the most powerful man in the world. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
But what do you call it? Yeah, even the people that they would say I look like, it was always like the Chubbs people. Like people would say I look like Khloe Kardashian back when she was Chubbs.
Me too. As soon as she got skinny, I've never heard it.
No.
Oh my God. Masa she was
Oh, you're
like on the
Saja.
bigger side. Yes, Saja. They were like, you and Khloe Kardashian, come up on one person. Like I heard it all the time, and to the point that I would be like, I'm just gonna post a Khloe Kardashian clip and see how many people are just like, you look just like her. And they always ate my bait. Always someone responded and be like, you just look just like her. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
And now, not a single person.
No. I mean, she also looks different.
Yeah.
But also,
fine.
there was another one on Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, I know the girl. Young now and just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kan, siapa saja lah yang a little bit brown, chubs, long dark hair.
See, I don't mind if it's like, oh, also hair, also a little bit of skin tone. But if it's telling me I look like Lizzo.
I mean, Angelina Jolie got dark hair too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I look like her. Huh? Why? Actually, no. My mom has said once, when you have Angelina Jolie's posture, I'm like, you know what? I will take it. I will take it. But there was a time in my early 20s, I really walked around with just
Angelina
Jolie's posture, yeah.
What does that mean? How does one else?
But again, I will take it.
Yeah, that's true. I would take anything that
from
looks
her.
like Angelina
Yeah.
Jolie. But
So,
in saying how much everybody has treated us wrong, how do you think they can, like, how do you think your partner or even your friends can show you love right now without kind of like tiptoeing on that, like, oh, it's you look so much skinnier, you look so pretty because you lost weight. Like, how do you say
it's
you
really-
look good without kind of like,
I mean, just say you look great. Hey, like, you know, you look
but you kind of, it's almost always because you look a little bit skinnier, and you're aware of it. Like when you lose the weight, that's when they start saying it. How do you show love to big people without them getting offended, or that, like, without, that sounds awful. I get offended.
I think it would be great to move away from even like, you know, focusing so much on the looks, right? Yeah.
That's true.
I mean,
It was giving Ariel and the Little Mermaid, like, oh, but yeah.
Oh.
Does anybody know what I'm doing?
No.
All right, we can just cut it.
Yeah, I would like to move away from just compliments that focus on looks, right? I think it would be good to have a variety of other compliments. There's so many Instagram posts about this. It's like compliment.
I don't have those in my.
I'll send it to you.
All right.
But there are other ways to say nice things about someone, you know? I'm trying to think off the top of my head now. But just like, I really like the way that you're thoughtful about things. Something like that.
What the hell
You know
is
what,
that? I don't feel complimented at all. I'm just like, oh, Skali. I don't feel
I really love the way that, you know, you bring your radiant energy into the room and it just uplifts everyone.
Okay.
Something like that,
Hit me a little bit.
right? But I mean, you can still, I mean, if someone, you know, when my friends tell me I look good, I just accept I look good. It's not because I've lost weight. Sometimes they'll be like, macam makin kurus lang.
No.
And it's hard because there's, you know, you're so hardwired to desire that. So there's a part of you that's just like, oh, really? But then I was like, no. I will not be validated by weight loss, you know? So it's a delicate act, right? Like,
But then do you think that's why they stray away from like giving big girls or big boys love? Do you think it's
no, what's wrong with just saying like, hey, you look good today. I love your outfit. You look really cute. I love how you did your makeup.
because that's the thing that people talk about. They're just like, it's so much harder because we're marginalized to a degree. Is this like
Just don't
it comes with so much
weight, right? Like, why aren't you like other ways you can compliment? Ooh, your hair is so shiny today. Ooh, I love the way that the earrings are, you know.
How do they like stand up for you in a situation where you're getting called fat without kind of like making a scene? Because of course the main thing is like you don't like much, especially people who are not as confident or like much more not as into their whole, not as confident about expressing that they are a fat person or something. And when you, like, someone mentions it, kind of like, oh, an older person mentions it, how do you as a loved one kind of help them through that in that situation? Because a lot of the times, at least when I was growing up too, even my mom, as much as my mom is like lovely, amazing and stuff like that, when my uncle was just like, jiggle, 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 she was like, ah, like, what do you do in that situation? How do they kind of like support you in that?
It's hard because I don't think a lot of, like, unless you're fat, you're just not thinking about these kinds of things, right? It's like, it's not an issue that affects them, so they don't really think about it. I don't think a lot of thin people go around thinking about what it's like to experience the world as a fat person. Unless they genuinely love you and care for you, then they should at least ask, like, okay, how can I show up for you better, right? And I think, things like being aware of, like, going to certain places. Like, for example, there's a cafe that I go to where the chairs there are nonsense. Like, I can't sit on the bloody chair. This is like, who is this for? Not for me, clearly.
Not the truth.
And so I think, like, having...
Oh my God.
And having friends that are, like, mindful of that and be like, no, like, making sure we get a table where I am not potentially going to break the chair.
Have you ever?
I have. And you know what? I was treated with such grace when that happened. I was like, oh, this was really nice. And I wasn't even that big at that point. I was, like, in my curvy phase, right? But I remember I was sitting on a chair in the office, and one of my colleagues, who I wasn't even, like, that friendly with, I broke it, and I was like, oh my God, here come the, and he was just like, oh yeah, these chairs are, like, terrible. They break all the time. I was like, like, that just, that was so, and I don't know whether he thought of it in a just, like, as if he was trying to rescue a fat girl from being shamed. I don't even know whether that occurred to him.
Okay.
But just, like, that moment of, like, oh, thank you for that. Because you're validating that I'm not breaking the chair. That is just, like, these are faulty chairs, So I think just people being more accommodating and understanding it instead of being like, if you have friends like that, it's like,
dump them, babes.
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, people who are just divorce babes.
I've tried to get her to say that on camera. You saw it. I did it. I love it when you say that, and I'm so happy I got that on camera, and you better not cut that out. I really love that, by the way. I know that this is my camera, but I really love kind of like...
She wants all the cameras.
I want them all on me, baby.
It's because you're fat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
There's a bit about, is it preference or is it fat phobia? And I wanted to talk about this.
I did want to talk about that too.
Very important. So, this is the thing. When people talk about their types, right, when they're dating, and I remember having this conversation with, a friend of mine.
We've had this conversation too.
Who's a fat dude? And he was just like, I could never date, like, a fat woman. That's just not my type. And people always use that when they say they don't want to date.
It's just my preference.
Yeah, they always use, it's not my preference when they don't want to date fat girls, right? But the thing is, your preference, it's not like, oh, baby, I'm just born with it, right? Like, it's society's, like, conditioning. And so if you haven't...
Can you imagine a baby coming out, fat person?
I mean, yeah.
Opening there.
Exactly. That just doesn't happen that way. But
are you imagining your kid doing that? That's the funniest thing.
Yeah, so it's conditioning. And I think it's like, it's important to, like, in the same way, right? The way that, I think for me, like, as a kid, I was because I went to international school and all that, I was very exposed to, like, oh, orang putih being, again, like, that's who you want to land. You want to, you get an orang putih boyfriend, you get an orang putih husband, like, that's, you're solid, babes. You've done well in life, and, like, I had to kind of unlearn as well, just, like, the obsession and the, setting them as, like, as some sort of the ultimate standard that you should go for. So again, your preferences are not just a natural God-given thing. Like, you have to be aware of the way that society conditions you to what is your type and what is not your type.
I have a tagline for it. Is it preference or an inherent bias? Was that good? Is that good? Did I slay that?
Just like, I have a tagline.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Because it's
exactly.
true.
I've
had so many conversations with so many men about that, and
Yeah. Because again, I'm just like, you're fat. Why don't you want to date a fat person?
But also,
right? He's like, oh, it's just not my type.
It never makes sense to me because I can understand when someone's just like, I am a hiker, I'm a very adventurous person, and sometimes there are certain like bigger sized people who I know that they don't like hiking and they don't like to be adventurous and stuff like that. And that's why I'm not attracted to them. I'm not attracted to someone.
Oh, yeah. They always love that as well. It's just like, oh, I can't be with the bigger because I like being active. And
I was just like,
there are fat people that are active. Not me, but...
yeah, not me either.
But they're out there. So don't use that.
It's such a lie.
Yeah, it's a cover. It's what people do on dating apps. Like, they'll put in there, like, must be active. That's coded.
That is coded.
That's coded for must not be fat.
That's coded for fat phobic.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to...
But I do want people to be more aware of like checking that kind of like, I don't know how.
If your type is what is the normative, what society says is attractive, if that's your type, then it's worthwhile to question just like, oh, okay. Because there's so many other ways that there's bias in our society, right? Like dark skin lah, apa lagi, you know, pindik lah, there's so many, you know.
Their thing is kind of like, okay, with preference, right? You can't help that you're dark skinned. You can't help that your eyes are sipit or basar or whatever. Sipit ani PC ka?
I don't know. Too late.
Yeah, ita. Tapi apa? Okay lah. If your eyes are like thinner or bigger or stuff like that. But with fat, like with being fat, they always go, but you can change that.
Cuba tak kau na.
Kau cuba. Kau pikir aku belum cuba, gila.
Cuba tak kau. And that's the thing. I've actually met people who are like, oh, you know, like, there's no way. Oh, that's another one. There's no way that you can be fat and love yourself. I've met people who are like that because they're like, I used to be fat and I hated myself. And so now I'm thin and I still hate myself. And so why are you fat and loving yourself? That's another thing. Oh, but we've run out of time. So
bye.
I'll go. See ya.